Asia Wilson, the MVP of the WNBA, the greatest player in women's basketball that nobody cares about. She was called on tape a year ago.
Us as black women, Paige reminds me a lot of you. Like, you say you're not really about me. And she knows how her privilege has gotten her to that point.
Preaching to, wagging her finger at, telling Kelsey Plum, her teammate, about her, white privilege and how Paige Becker understands it and blah, blah. Anyway, this old clip has gone viral this week.
And also, like, she's good at basketball, obviously. But, like, she understands her privilege and like, pushes her over the top in a sense. It reminds me a lot of you. And I mean, that's a compliment.
What if I told you that the WNBA's hottest rivalry isn't just about points and rebounds? Aja Wilson just hit Caitlin Clark with a demand for reparations, and it's got everyone talking. But here's the thing, this isn't just about two stars trading jokes. It's opening up a whole can of worms about race, marketing, and who gets the spotlight in women's basketball.
One of the more interesting aspects of this fanhood is that some of the biggest supporters of Caitlin Clark are not whites. They're actually black males. But that's the issue, though. I don't understand this. Many of these people, like Asia, are so used to being able to dispense and force white guilt upon others. This has become, Jason, and tell me if you agree or disagree. This NBA playoff ratings dip post Caitlin Clark is the sports version of white flight and gentrification.
Picture this, Aja and Caitlin, two of the biggest names in the game, are joking around after a match. Out of nowhere, Aja drops the reparations line on Caitlin. Everyone's jaws hit the floor. It was so unexpected, so bold, that for a second, nobody knew how to react. But then, boom, social media explodes. Fans are sharing clips, players are weighing in, and suddenly this playful moment is the talk of the league.
The way this thing was going viral, like you said, Jason, and I saw the comments, which I was liberally retweeting on Twitter, there should be a hashtag now, Stop Asia Hate.
Let's start there. Is that a compliment that she understands her white privilege?
I mean, what is she really saying? Like, hey, white girl, you know what, you cracker-ass cracker? You have a lot of white guilt, and I approve. But it's amazing. But this is the problem that a lot of people have with Caitlin Clark fans and supporters. They don't buy into it.
You know what's wild? This little joke isn't just funny. It's shining a light on some big issues in the WNBA that nobody's been talking about. There's way more to this story than meets the eye, and we're about to break it all down for you. Here's the thing about that reparations comment. It's not really about money at all. Aja Wilson just opened up a can of worms about race in the WNBA. Why are some players struggling for recognition while others become overnight sensations?
But to me, it was a message being sent to Caitlin Clark of like, you want to come into our league, this is how you need to be. And I think it's a message to Nike. I probably tend to think it wasn't even on accident. Knew she was being recorded, knew it would get out there. And it was, because I think this was a year ago, and it's gone viral now this week. Again, as I talked about last week, based off the Ethan Strauss deal, Asia Wilson has a signature shoe and logo with Nike. No one's gonna buy her shoe. So there's a mindset that Asia has to adopt to justify getting treatment she knows she doesn't deserve.
Let's break it down. Aja Wilson isn't just throwing shade for fun. She's shining a spotlight on a real issue in women's basketball. Wilson's been vocal about the challenges black players face in the WNBA, especially when it comes to getting the recognition they deserve. In her own words, Wilson said, "It really is because you can be top-notch at what you are as a black woman, but yet maybe that's something that people don't want to see." That's a pretty heavy statement from a two-time MVP and champion. It's not just about skill, it's about who gets the spotlight and why. Now, enter Caitlin Clark. This rookie's been blowing up social media, grabbing headlines, and attracting fans like crazy. But here's where it gets tricky. Clark's rapid rise has some people asking questions about race and marketing in women's basketball. Wilson didn't hold back on this topic either. She said, "It boils my blood when people say it's not about race, because it is." She's suggesting that Clark's success isn't just about her undeniable talent. It's also because she's a white player in a sport that's predominantly white. Think about it. Clark's getting a massive marketing push. Her jersey sales are through the roof. She's all over TV and social media. But what about other top WNBA players? Are they getting the same love? This is where the WNBA's bigger picture comes into play. The league's been fighting an uphill battle with viewership for years. But now, stars like Clark and Wilson, things are starting to change. More eyes are on the game than ever before. Here's the twist. This rivalry between Wilson and Clark, it might actually be good for the league. Their contrasting styles, both on and off the court, are creating buzz. People are talking about the WNBA in a way they haven't before. Wilson's comments are opening up important conversations about equity and promotional efforts.
You hate it when they're here. You don't like their presence. Oh my God, look at what they're doing. They're so awful. Then when they leave, the Caitlyn flight, oh my God, I can't, what do we do now? Isn't it the same thing?
Yeah, it's a good analogy. Yes, it is.
And these players that are now complaining, if there are any, about the ratings, about being abandoned. Well, wait a minute. So that has become something that for them, that word, problematic. And it's also set up a cultural debate on the other side of the street. Many of you were the very same ones that was pointing the finger and saying you're racist and we don't want or need your support. So in theory, you're getting what you want and you should be happy for the lower ratings. So be careful what you wish for.
It's not just about who's the best player. It's about who gets to be the face of the league and why. But here's the real kicker. This isn't just a Wilson versus Clark thing. It's about the future of the WNBA. How can the league make sure all its stars shine, regardless of race? How can they use this moment to grow the game for everyone? All this talk about the future of the WNBA brings us to a pivotal moment, Clark's pro debut. The hype was off the charts, but so was the pressure. What went down when the rookie hit the court, and why are people still buzzing about it? Picture this. Caitlin Clark steps onto the court for her first WNBA game. The crowd's going wild. Expectations are through the roof. But here's the kicker. It wasn't exactly the fairy tale start everyone expected. Clark scored 20 points, which sounds great, right? But she also set a league record with 10 turnovers. That's right, 10 in her very first game. Now, you might be thinking, wait, isn't that bad? But here's the thing. It actually shows just how much attention Clark's bringing to the league. People showed up in droves to watch her play, even when she was struggling. That's the kind of star power that can change the game. Let's break it down. Clark's college stats were insane, and now she's leading the WNBA in assists. She's creating points left and right, not just for herself, but for her teammates too. It's like she's got eyes in the back of her head or something.
Charles Barkley talking about the Caitlin Clark phenomenon and the people he blames for blowing this whole Caitlin Clark deal.
People believe what we say on television. Just because people don't like you or your personality, they can't get on TV and slander you. It's just total bullshit. These ladies, and I'm a WNBA fan, they cannot have this Caitlin Clark thing up any worse if they try. What is going on here? And the thing I love about her, she never says a word. But these ladies, who I love and respect their game, they couldn't have this thing up.
But here's where it gets really interesting. Clark's style of play is totally different from Aja Wilson's. Clark's all about that long-range shooting, aggressive drives, and crazy playmaking. Wilson, on the other hand, is a beast in the paint and a defensive nightmare for opponent. You know what's wild? Aja Wilson herself said about Clark, "You watch her, and it's just unguardable. There's nothing anybody can do to stop it. She's just that dominant." That's some serious respect from one of the league's top players. Now let's talk about Clark's shooting. This girl is pulling up from 30 to 34 feet and still hitting over 37% of those shots. That's not normal, folk. She's like a human highlight reel, making defenders look silly and drawing so much attention that her teammates are getting wide open look. But here's the real kicker. Clark's not just scoring. She's creating her own shot, which is huge in the WNBA. Most rookies struggle with this, but Clark's out here making it look easy.
If Caitlin Clark somehow wins the WNBA championship this year, she will have put together the greatest rookie season in the history of professional sport. Include Caitlin Clark in the conversation, as I like to do, but we're also going to bring the NFL, Patrick Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, Caitlin Clark, Deion Sanders, all in the same boat with historical perspective and knowledge, and more than anything, I'm gonna blast the media.
She's putting up points per game numbers that are historically significant, and she's doing it without much help. Now, don't get me wrong, Aja Wilson's still dominating the league. She's putting up numbers that are off the chart. But Clark, she's helping turn her team around. They went from a 13-27 record to being playoff contenders. That's the kind of impact that changes franchises. So, what does all this mean for the WNBA? Well, it's like we've got two superstars with totally different styles, both crushing it in their own ways. Clark's the flashy newcomer, lighting up scoreboards and social media. Wilson's the established powerhouse, racking up MVPs and championship. Hold up, we've been talking about stats and skills, but there's something even bigger going down. Wilson just dropped a truth bomb that's got everyone talking. Is the WNBA about to face its toughest opponent yet? Inequality? This Wilson-Clark situation isn't just about two stars trading jokes. It's sparking some serious conversations about equity in women's sports.
Clark's shoe, whenever that is released, comes out, they ought to call it the air suppression. Because basically, they are marketing Aja Wilson by suppressing anything having to do with the most popular player in the league.
Since you brought it up, I'm going to touch on it just for a bit. The ratings, I believe 2 Sundays ago with Caitlin Clark, she drew 1.8 million viewers on an NFL Sunday. I really do. And I think moving forward, I think that number is going to, as the playoffs continue on, I think that number is going to continue to come down.
I wonder, this actually needs to be studied. What other sports league has diminishing ratings as you get closer to the championship?
Aja Wilson's comments have people talking about race and marketing in the WNBA like never before. Wilson didn't hold back when she said, "It really is because you can be top-notch at what you are as a black woman, but yet maybe that's something that people don't want to see." That's a strong statement from a 2-time MVP. It's got people asking tough questions about who gets the spotlight and why. But here's where it gets interesting. Caitlin Clark's not shying away from the conversation either. She's saying we need more opportunities across the board to elevate women's basketball. That's huge. 2 of the biggest names in the game are using their platforms to push for change. Now, imagine if the WNBA took this moment and ran with it. What if they used this buzz to create new ways to promote all their players, not just the biggest stars? We could see a whole new approach to marketing in women's sports. Think about it. The WNBA could start showcasing more diverse stories, highlighting players from all backgrounds. They could partner with organizations that promote racial equity in sports.
She's the Tim Duncan of the WNBA. Hey, that's great. I love Tim Duncan. Great player. Doesn't sell shoes, doesn't drive TV ratings. That's not what he does. That's who Aja Wilson is. It's all just it's endless reparations. Give me things I don't deserve, and white girl, you take a backseat to me.
I think exactly is one of the reasons why for the past 20 some odd years, nobody has cared about this league, why there is certainly an antipathy towards it. That's what these young ladies, these fine feminist athletes seem to be asking for and almost begging for. But here's the issue. They don't want the ramifications of such action.
Imagine seeing campaigns that celebrate the unique journeys of every WNBA player, not just the ones who get the most media attention. But it's not just about the league. Fans have a role to play too. What if we started following and supporting a wider range of players, share their stories, buy their merch, show up to their games? That kind of grassroots support can make a real difference. And get this, some teams are already stepping up. Cheryl Reeve, head coach of the Minnesota Lynx, is talking about how the league needs to change fast. She said, "Growth is happening so fast. Business as usual is not going to work anymore. You're going to get left behind, and this is an example of it." That's a coach who gets it. You know what's wild? This whole situation could actually be good for the WNBA. It's got people talking, it's bringing attention to important issues, and it's pushing for positive change.
They've made Caitlin Clark more interesting. They've made Caitlin Clark the biggest star in American sports. They got this conversation wrong. The ladies, the active players in the WNBA, they haven't screwed up anything. Their little petty jealousy and sniping at Caitlin Clark is why 2 million people are tuning in to watch Caitlin Clark play basketball and to watch a bunch of other women blow layups every night.
That's the kind of drama that can take a league to the next level. But here's the real kicker. This isn't just about Wilson and Clark. It's about every player in the WNBA who's working hard to make their mark. It's about creating a league where everyone has a fair shot at the spotlight, regardless of their background. So, what's the big deal with this Wilson-Clark story? It's not just about two stars battling it out on the court. It's about changing the game for everyone. These two are shaking things up, making us talk about stuff we've been ignoring for too long. But you know what's really cool? While they're lighting up the scoreboard, they're also lighting a fire under the WNBA to do better. Clark's saying we need more chances for all players. Wilson's pushing for everyone to get their shine, no matter their background. And guess what? We're the real winners here. We get to watch amazing basketball and be part of something bigger. So here's the deal. If you love this game, show it. Support all the players, not just the big names. Watch the games, buy the merch, spread the word. Because when we step up, we help make the WNBA better for everyone.